Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us here at the DCKAP eSummit event, Reimagine Distribution. Okay, so finally, what I'd like to do is invite up several special guests to join me for a discussion on the importance of women in the distribution industry. So for this panel, I'd like to welcome Lori Mehta, Director of Industrial Distribution at Saint-Gobain Abrasives, Tamara Morris, Project Manager at Berenson Incorporated, and Amanda Martinez, Information Technology Manager at Line Products Incorporated. So thanks to you all for joining our panel today. We're going to be discussing your roles in the industry as women and diving into the benefits and challenges of that. And really just looking at the industry as a whole and why we need more women to take on these kinds of roles and really help shape the future of distribution. So to begin, I'd like to just pose an initial opening question on the subject to each of you and have you start with a little bit of a background about yourselves.
So I've been in IT for 40 years, and I started at IBM. I've worked for big companies and small as a technical specialist, as a team leader, disaster recovery planner, and most recently as a project manager. For the last 15 years, I've been managing projects at our family industrial distribution company in Toronto. I'm in Canada. And the project I'm probably the most proud of is the second last one. Right now, we're developing a new website with DCKAP, but the last one I did was probably the biggest. We converted to a new ERP and a new website at the same time. It took about a year and a half. It was technically complex, had lots of different personalities, and in a tiny little business, nobody had enough time to do anything. So I was, like I said, the project manager, and I believe being a woman might have been an advantage because maybe I was a bit more patient than somebody else would have been. I try to focus on collaboration and building a team and getting everybody to work together and, you know, celebrating small successes along the way. So that would be it.
Great. Well, thank you for that. And then Amanda, if you're on, if you can come on board and same thing to you, just tell us a little bit about yourself and perhaps something you're proud of in your current role.
Hi, I'm Amanda Martinez, and I have been in the distribution and manufacturing industry, working in those industries for about 20 years. I'm very proud that I have come from being an accounts receivable clerk to an IT manager, put in a lot of work. So that's something I'm very proud of. I started 21 years ago at Abbott Rubber Company, and I am now working for Line Products in Mount Prospect, Illinois.
Awesome. Great. Good to learn a little bit more about you guys. Amanda, I'll just stay on with you for the start of the next question then. Did you ever have a mentor or someone who inspired you to succeed in business or the field that you're in? Who was that, if that's the case, or if not, you know, if you felt that was hindered in your progress?
So I actually was very fortunate, extremely fortunate to have two mentors. Linda Marone from Tower Fastener and Sandy Sadley from Epicor. I do owe a lot to them. I was able to see, because of them, I was able to see the feminine side of being in the distribution industry and in business in general. I was able to get over the needing to be one of the guys in this industry. I was able to see the softer side, and they encouraged that for me. I was able to build off of what I already have, and embrace myself while still being able to stand up for myself. I could still be strong without having to be mean and aggressive, which was what I felt that I was doing at first before I had met them. Felt like I needed to be one of the guys and I needed to fit in. And once I was able to have they helped me build some of that foundation of being able to be on the softer side of a woman in business. So it's very fortunate to have them. And because of that, I'm able to be supportive and strong for other women in the industry and help them grow right now.
Great points too. Lori, I'll come back to you and see if you're able to answer the next question. Did you have a mentor or someone who inspired you?
I did, two different ones. Early on, I had a female that was in a sister company of ours in a vice president role. And she was great. What I learned from her was navigating upper management within our own company and externally for customers and distributors. And then later in my career, I had a manager director who really taught me a lot about the business. He exposed me to different business people, and I think he really helped taught me strategy in the business, and you know, thinking outside the box to solve problems. And I wouldn't be where I'm at. So I try to share that.
Great. Yes, definitely. And then Tammy, for yourself, do you have a mentor?
I can't say I ever really had a mentor because and listening to Lori and Amanda, I've never really aspired to climbing any kind of corporate ladder. I've been really happy in IT, and I've sort of been able to grow my challenges and my aspirations by becoming more of a leader in IT, which didn't really introduce me to any roadblocks. So I can't say I had a mentor, but I don't really think I missed out, but maybe I did. I'll never know now.
Right. Well, you know, it's a different experience for everyone, and some, you know, are good and not necessarily a bad thing. Tammy, just staying on with you then, how have other women's roles around you, you know, managers, coworkers, anyone that you've been inspired by perchance, you know, been exemplified in your career and your path? How has it helped to shape your outlook on the future of the industry?
Well, speaking from my experience, most recent experience in the industrial distribution world, there truly aren't that many in there. It is a bit of an old boys club, especially when you look at our customers are mostly male cabinet makers, manufacturers, that kind of thing. And I would say there's a big design element to our product. We distribute cabinet hardware, so knobs and handles and that kind of thing for kitchen cabinets. And so there's definitely a design element, and bringing to the table like women sales reps, women marketeers, just women in general, brings that element of design to the forefront, and you know, maybe makes people, maybe the guys out there, think more about design. So I would say from a design perspective, having women in our industry is a big advantage.
Yes. Amanda, for you, what's your perspective on that?
Well, I currently work for two women running a distribution company right now, so that's huge for me. You know, they're very supportive, and they understand that you're only as strong as your weakest link. And I think that's wonderful for two women to understand at an early age. They're fairly young, and so for them to be this supportive and be able to run this company, I think is phenomenal. They're a huge encouragement for me, and it kind of helps me see that things are moving along as they should be. So that's how it helps me.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine for sure. And then Lori, for you, any perspective?
Yes, I had a coworker. Initially, she started as an engineer that pursued IT marketing, and I thought, what is she doing, hopping around like this? And when I talked with her about it, she had a different outlook. She said, "I'm looking to be 5 to 10 feet down the road, and I need this background that I do not have to be there when I want to." So I'm moving to these spots to gain knowledge. I had never looked at it that way, and there aren't many other women. And so I think she made an impression on me. It's a good thing.
Okay. I apologize. I'm still seeing or hearing a little bit of breakup on your end, so I think the last part of it didn't come through for me. But we'll just keep moving on. And also, if you could just tell us any struggles that you see for women currently in the field, and any best ways to overcome those struggles.
The most common struggle that I see now is that young women, any women, they don't seem to talk about roles they're interested in one, or check out roles or let other people know that they're interested in them. Recently, a manager, there was an opening for a growth position, and he received several applicants and interviewed them. He was not happy with them. He reached out and asked if I knew of anyone that would be good, a diverse candidate. And I thought of someone. I reached out to her and said, "Are you aware of this position that's open? And would you be interested?" And she said, "Oh, yes, that's my dream job. I would love that." And I didn't apply because I didn't have every one of the qualifications. I assumed I had not been here long enough. And the other applicants that had applied were all male, and they had less qualifications than she had. They didn't see that as a problem, and they all applied right up front. She did get the position, but I see that as a problem with women. Maybe they, they don't. They think you have to have every qualification for a job. And the way to help that, I believe, is coaching, talking to them about their future interests and needs, and helping them make connections so other people are aware of what to do.
Yeah, great point. And connections. Then let's go over to Tamara, if you wanted to just, add on to that at all. Any other thoughts? Tammy?
Sorry, forgot to unmute myself. I've seen a couple of struggles in our business, our family business. One is a senior manager, female, who has trouble recruiting male middle managers, and there does seem to be a reluctance. And I'd have to say that her success is around being patient and diligent, and just, trying to find the right people who have more of an open mind and aren't sort of fixed in who they want to work for. And the other goes along with what I said before. Some of our reps, our female reps, have trouble getting the attention of their male customers. And again, persistence and, being good at their jobs and being patient and just, trying to bring them along, win them over. Patience would be the key to success.
Another great point, yes. And then Amanda, just if you have any other thoughts to add into that same question.
Mine kind of go along the line where Lori was at. Seeing our own value, our self-value. I think that definitely is a big, huge one for us as women. Just what are other people thinking about us, or that one little piece, like Lori said, that she that one piece that she didn't have, that she felt she wasn't qualified for, but she qualified for everything else. So, kind of taking a step back, looking at the big picture for ourselves. Also, I feel that compensation in our area is, again, that goes along with our self-value. Do we feel we should be making the same amount as a man, or why aren't we asking for 20 grand extra a year and negotiating? Do we need to still work on some more of those negotiation tactics and skills? Being women, we should be able to. We can haggle when we go to the stores, or when I'm at the flea market. I can sure say, hey, I want to pay $20 less for that. Why wouldn't we want more for ourselves? So I think that's one of the areas where I feel that we struggle, that I still see. And when I talk to other, women, is just knowing our self-worth and our value for our jobs.
Yeah, great point. And I guess that even brings up environment a bit, which sort of leads me into the next question. It does seem that there is a greater trend of growth for women in roles outside of the corporate structure. So when it comes to small companies versus large corporations, it may be easier for women to grow and climb the ladder of success. So just some thoughts. Why do you think that might be?
So for me, I have always gone with smaller companies only because I am a successful self-taught IT manager. I don't have what society deems as a formal education as far as college goes. I did graduate high school, and I worked very hard in educating myself and taking different courses and learning and reaching out to my tribe, as I like to call it, my network. And everyone's been always very helpful, and I'm an easy learner. I learn things very easily. So just, I think for me, the corporate wasn't my cup of tea because of my lack of society's education. I've always found it easier to find a position where my value, I was paid for my value in a smaller company because it just worked out that way for me.
Right. Okay, I'll bring it over to Lori if you have thoughts on that, the small company versus corporation and the idea there.
I've only ever worked for a large corporation. The drawback there, I think, is that it's a male-dominated business, and seems to be that there are people that are like tapped on the shoulder early on, for positions, and it's hard to break through that. You have to break through the plan that's in place. And a smaller company, I would think that yourself a little more easily roles that large corporation.
Yeah, I think there's probably some more obvious those pathways in the smaller. And then Tamia, for your perspective on that?
I would agree with both Lori and Amanda. I've worked for large and small companies, and I'd have to say I do see more opportunity for women in a smaller company, typically because there tend to be fewer resources available to get the job done. And, when there's a need, if you want to, keep someone involved who's already there, the fact that you're male or female doesn't really come into play. It's whether or not you have the skill. And there isn't the same kind of rules and hierarchy and that kind of thing to go through to move up.
Yeah, a little bit of that red tape, so to speak. And then Tammy, just staying with you, then if you could share how you think, progress for women in the industry has been, if it's apparent to you, or if you think more doors need to be opened, and how important it is for us to see women in similar roles to help shape the future.
Well, in terms of has progress been made, having worked for large and small companies, I would say maybe the biggest progress is more societal, and I'm speaking from a Canadian perspective. I know it's different in the US. When I had my kids 30 years ago, I had a 4-month maternity leave. And now maternity leaves are a year long, and included in that, a father can take paternity leave. And I'd have to say that all the companies I've worked for, as that time frame has grown over the years, there's never been it's just been accepted. And companies like right now, my little company is dealing with the maternity leave, and we knew it was coming. Off she went. We hired within to backfill her, and it's just totally accepted, and nobody complains about it. And so I just think that's societal progress.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it is important that I think there was another question there, right?
Just how important it is to see women in the roles.
I think sorry about that. Diversity is critical in every industry. The more opinions you have at the table, the more opportunity there is to, gain some traction on some new ideas and see success, try things out. And you never know until you bring, more ideas to the table. And women bring definitely a diverse perspective and a diverse, management approach.
Right, definitely agreed. Amanda, yeah, for you, your thoughts on progress and the importance of seeing more women in these roles.
Like I said, I'm seeing it now, working for two women that are running this company. And of course, there's always going to be doors that need to be opened for us. I think there's still some catching up that needs to be done. And how can we do this, and how being supportive and, you know, just knowing that we're part of a team here and helping the company grow. And as they grow, we're growing also. You know, it's very important that we encourage, and we're there to help guide this next generation. The generational gap has to start closing in a little bit more. And so, yes, doors do need to still be opened. And I think if we all do our part to encourage and be supportive, that's definitely moving us forward.
Right. And then Lori, over to you. As your perspective is, you know, more large corporation, how do you see the kind of growth and the progress that's been made?
Yeah, definitely, I have seen progress. Things are much better for women. Many more women in business and in higher positions than they have been. I think it's important to, as Amanda said, we have a new or non in business, to help them, to guide them on, hey, this is an opportunity down the road that they may not have thought of in the past. And then just overall, you know, labor shortage. Statistics show that there's more women graduating from college. There's a lot more women in the workforce, and I think that that's going to be, even if it's forced, that's going to be more opportunities.
Yeah, and that, you know, I guess leads me into the next question, and which you've already, I guess, kind of answered, right? There's more opportunities in order to see more progress. So just as the final thought, then, I guess, even to, you know, Tammy, to bring it over to you for the same thing, what kind of advice would you have, or what do you think is sort of the next step for women who are thinking of going into this industry?
Well, I think new grads aren't likely to be looking at in our case, tiny little industrial distribution companies, but you know, if there was more representation at career fairs, that kind of thing, especially female representation, encourage young women to just keep their eyes open and ask a lot of questions and really evaluate the opportunities that, you know, that are on the table.
Yeah, definitely. Female representation is important. And finally, to Amanda, any final thoughts or advice that you might have for anyone who's thinking of being, you know, in the distribution industry as a woman?
Absolutely. Don't settle. That's my biggest, if there's no other takeaway from this, it's don't settle. Don't be afraid to change companies. I believe that one of my issues was I was comfortable. And so I feared moving. And so, you know, sometimes fear gets in the way. So don't be afraid to take that offer, take that phone call, find out what they have to offer, because you don't have to just settle for the one place that you're at. But yes, if you're in the beginning, feel free to, you know, get your feet wet and learn and grow. It's okay to move on, and it's okay to be uncomfortable moving on and getting out of that comfort zone.
Yes, definitely. Don't settle. And it's great to have the support system, women to women. So that's always another good thing to keep in mind. Well, thank you to each of you ladies for the great discussion. And I think it's an important topic. So I'm glad that we were able to dive into that a little bit. It was a pleasure having you join us, and really just invaluable hearing your experiences on this. We have seen great progress, as mentioned, but I look to even more strides being made by capable and successful women such as yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
That's pretty much everything we've got then for our eSummit today. Thank you to everyone for joining us virtually. We are looking forward to being able to have an in-person event for next year in 2022. So be sure to keep your eyes out for that. So that's a wrap, and thank you again for watching, and wishing you all a wonderful rest of the day.